Hey, we are back talking about something fascinating. Face blindness, a rare medical condition that affects up to 2% of the population.
It might be more understandable to you if we say facial amnesia, because it's essentially you walk out of the room, the person comes back in, you don't recognize them anymore. You can't recognize other people's faces, including your own family members.
Yes, husbands, wives. Joining us to share his story, 61-year-old Bill Choisser, and he is face blind.
And also back with us are Cindy Hansen and her daughter Leslie, and Leslie's little boy Riley, 7 years old. They all share the same condition. Many family members also share their condition. And from LA, we have psychologist Dr. Brad Duchesne joining us as well.
Doctor, getting to you very quickly here, but people at home probably wonder, why does he have such an amazing beard? Is that how you cope with your face blindness?
Well, I do use hair to recognize people. We all use different things, and for me, as a child, I tended to pick hair. I don't know why, but I think it has to do with the person's strengths. Gals who get it often pick up emotional profiles of people, because women are really into the emotional aspect of relationships.
Yep.
Guys are more visual, physical. They're more apt to pick up things like hair or clothing or something like that.
Doctor, that's interesting. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it is. People really choose different things to recognize others, and it's clear that Bill really relies on hair, and it's very interesting that it's become important for his appearance as well.
When you meet people, well, actually, I think the most important thing with you to point out, you were talking about when you were a child, you didn't know you had it until you were 50-something years old.
I was probably late 40s. We were watching TV, and we figured out that I was getting a lot different of a sense of what was going on, and the reason is I didn't know who any of the people were. I mean, I was mixing up all the characters.
How do you keep track of the characters if they keep changing?
Well, you don't, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
But you never knew. I mean, this was kind of, it was the way you were born. It was sort of, this is what you've always known.
It's
So
always
you never
been
really
that
knew
way.
it was anything.
What actually brought it to the forefront is my partner who works in the broadcasting industry. And we figured out that we were getting a different sense of what had gone on with the show we were watching, and at some point he said, well, if it didn't make sense to most people, it wouldn't have any ratings and it wouldn't be on the air. And at that point I said, I must be different from most people.
So then what did you do?
I got on the internet and I found almost nothing. And this was back in 1996 when the internet was getting started. And over a period of about 3 months, I managed to find about half a dozen people. We formed a small email group, and then it grew from there. And within a period of a couple of years, we'd gotten together about 4 to 5 dozen people. And I made notes of what we all had in common, and eventually I wrote it up and put it online, and that kind of got us going.
But Bill, you know that phrase, hey, it's so nice to meet a lot of new people. You meet so many new people. You're meeting a lot of people every single day that are new, but they aren't new because you know them. Tell me why it took to 49 to figure it out. Did you think we all went through life like this?
Well, if 2% of the population has it, and in 1996 they thought a few hundred people in the world have it, which was the case, a lot of people were fooling each other. And I think it's similar to like back in the 50s when gay people thought they were the only one in the world because they'd never met any others. No one ever talked about it. It just wasn't in the public consciousness that much.
How do you bond with Riley? How did Riley bond with you if he doesn't recognize his mommy every day?
Through coping skills. I mean, you figure out ways to recognize people besides by their face.
So as we're sitting here this whole time, we took the commercial break, you know, you had to move and stand up, you sat down. Did you recognize me?
Not by your face.
By my outfit.
Your hair and your outfit, yeah.
Wow, unbelievable. Doctor, got to have a couple more questions for you before we let you go. When you talk to people and they finally have realized after all these years of not really knowing why they didn't remember people's faces, or maybe not even noticing that they didn't remember that, what is their reaction? Are they grateful to find out that they actually have an answer now?
It's a great relief to people. I get very emotional emails from people quite regularly, and I call it the prosopagnosia epiphany, because it's just they've felt guilty their entire lives that they've had trouble recognizing people, and they finally realize it's not their fault.
And that old sense of, oh, I'm not alone in this. Real quickly, you got 10 seconds on each of these answers. Real quickly again, what do you think causes it, and what's a treatment for it? Are there any?
Well, it's often due to a genetic problem that's affected the development of the areas that we use for face recognition. And as for a treatment, there's nothing that's been proven yet, but people are working on that right now.
I also understand that somebody back in the 40s was studying a soldier who was shot in the head. And this person never had this issue before, but after he was shot, he had this face blindness condition.
Could be trauma to the head and brain.
Yeah, we've known about acquired prosopagnosia for a long time, that you can have some sort of brain damage that affects your ability to recognize faces. It's developmental prosopagnosia, these people who've had it their entire lives that are new for the field.
Real quickly, do you recognize yourself when you look in a mirror? Bill?
I do now.
Because you see the long hair.
Because of all the hair, yeah.
Cindy?
I do. If I change my hair color, it's difficult for me. I can surprise myself sometimes in the mirror.
Touch your face? Oh, yeah, it's me?
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to, if I was to look at my eyes in a series of eyes, wouldn't be able to pick out my own eyes.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. I really, really appreciate it. It's fascinating. And we appreciate it.
So for more on face blindness and Dr. Duchesne's research,
Good job, doctor.
Yeah, AMandJShow.com.
And we'll be back in just